You're listening to The Haunting of Bly Manor Aftershow by Horror Movie Talk.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk Special, The Haunting of Bly Manor Aftershow.
Sounds perfect.
It's exactly like the Queen.
It's just like it.
Where
are your corgis? Where are they?
So on a normal episode of Horror Movie Talk, we review and discuss one horror movie in detail, but for this special series of 10 episodes, we will be having an opinionated and accidentally funny discussion on each episode of The Haunting of Bly Manor. Your panel of expert hosts for this whole jolly good experience each week. Oh, well, for each episode are Dr. Bryce Hanson. That's me. I hold a PhD in spookology. And
you hold it?
Mm-hmm, I hold it in my hand.
Hold it.
I keep it in my pocket.
And I am Professor David Day, the foremost expert in scare no-nos.
So without further ado, The Haunting of Bly Manor After Show with Horror Movie Talk. We've got a great show today. We're on episode 3. We're going to start out by giving a brief synopsis of the episodes, which will not take long, and then we're going to get right into spoilers and take a deeper dive into the episode. So today, let's talk about episode 3. So in this episode, it's very simple. We're given the backstory of the previous au pair, Rebecca Jessel, played by Tahirah Sharif, and Uncle Henry's assistant, Peter Quint, played by Oliver Jackson-Cohen, which you might recognize from The Invisible Man, where he played the Invisible Man.
From 2020.
He was the villain. He was probably the best horror movie of 2020.
Yeah, I think I could agree to that. Yeah, if you haven't seen The Invisible Man...
almost as good as The Turning. Almost.
You're talking about...
I mean, the Turning is almost as good as The Invisible Man.
Okay.
Just
well,
barely.
That's not even...
Yeah, just The Invisible Man just ekes out the lead.
Not even close. He's a stunning gentleman.
Yeah.
Good to look at.
Yeah.
If you're, a lady or recognize just good-looking people in general.
Yeah.
And Tahirah Sharif is just drop-dead gorgeous as well. And interesting, this is an interesting but probably very necessary take for the third episode, right? Because now we're being introduced to two people who we know not at all from the first two episodes.
They're alluded to, and we catch glimpses of Peter.
Yeah.
And he's like definitely alluded to as like a villain. Like he's not a good dude.
Right. And of course we have heard that they had a previous au pair that died tragically.
And she had some kind of affair with Peter.
Right.
So, I mean, that's the other part of this episode is Peter and Miss Jessel have an affair, and we're shown Peter's charming facade soon shows cracks, and he is revealed as a real manipulative sociopath.
Yeah, he feels that way right off the bat, and it's real strange as an American listening to his he has a very thick accent.
Yeah, Irish accent.
Irish accent, and
he's like, oh, top of the morning to ya.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly like that.
That sounds exactly right to me, to my American ear. Right. No, but if you don't have subtitles, if you just turn away from this, because the copy of the Haunting of Bly Manor that we have is exclusively subtitled, you can't turn it off. He is a very hard to understand man.
See, I don't
with that Irish accent.
I don't think so, but
I
don't know.
Try watching this episode again.
There are a couple phrases that just are not recognizable phrases.
I'm pretty good.
I would need to...
I'm pretty good at hearing past the accent, but
yeah.
He's got a little bit of a challenge in there anyway. Yeah. So
So before we get into the spoilers, just want to let you know we have a website, horrormovietalk.com. There you can find links to our social media. You can talk with us on any platform, really, but probably the most popular one is our Facebook group, and lots of discussion
Facebook and Instagram are both we'll talk to anybody, all comers.
Yeah, normally if you're new to Horror Movie Talk and you just stumbled across this after show, we normally post a new episode every Wednesday where we cover a horror movie. If you have any questions or you want to complain or tell us that we're wrong, call 682-253-4468 and leave a voicemail. Also, if you want to support the show, probably the best way to do that is our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/horrormovietalk. So that's it for now. Let's get into the show.
Let's get into it, Bryce. Just enough about you.
All right, let's get into spoilers. Peter spoilers.
Okay.
That's how Irish people laugh. That's
right.
Wow. Yeah.
That's racist.
It's not racist. They're white. So yeah, this episode
all of them? Who are they? Why they got to be they?
I just picture just a sea of Conan O'Briens.
Yeah. Well, they're my people. So.
Just exactly like clones of Conan O'Brien. Just some of them have vaginas.
Wow, bold. Mm-hmm. Episode 3.
So yeah, this one's about Miss Jessel and Peter Quint. This takes place the previous year from most of the events that we've been watching in the previous episodes. Miss Jessel is just hired. And we know that she's the previous nanny, and it does not end well.
Au pair.
Yeah.
Not nanny.
Nanny, not au pair, not nanny.
They make it very clear.
Yeah, okay. People in the know or people in the UK, what is the difference between nanny, au pair, and governess?
Right.
Like, is there a difference?
Yeah.
What is the... Because I think governess and au pair is, like, used interchangeably even in the show.
Yeah, I would have liked to been able to say that I did some research and found out for you, but boy, man, that's a tall order.
And if it's a male, would it be a governor?
Again, that number is 682-253-4468.
Anyways, they don't really hide the fact that Peter's not a good dude. I think previously to this episode, or pretty quick, he's labeled as a thief. Mm-hmm. So we know that going in. Mrs. Jessel comes to Bly Manor and is introduced, and it's kind of revealed that she is the source for the phrase
perfectly splendid.
Perfectly splendid. Man, I love Flora. I just love her.
Yeah.
I love that character and the way she's executed so much, because she... Right. I have 2 little girls, and she reminds me so much of my oldest.
Yeah, my daughter is right at this same age. My daughter's going to be turning 8 in a couple months, and that's the age that Flora is supposed to be. And precocious little girl. Yeah, they're just old enough to like really have a personality and be able to,
charm you.
Yeah. So throughout the episode, just like the other episodes, it jumps back and forth between the present and a year ago. It goes to them meeting Miss Jessel, and the kids are really having a good time, and they decide to kind of like pull an all-nighter. And like Flora's like, we're gonna stay up all night long, and it's gonna be so
perfectly.
It just cuts to her like asleep. It's great.
Yeah,
it's a great cut.
The smash cuts in this are really well done, because it's doing them all the time to smash between past and present, and then also to smash between to set up ironic, funny things like this.
Yeah.
I'd like to take a moment to bring up a quick question. What do you what do you suppose it costs to heat this place? The real horror story
is the
electric bill. Is the electric bill in The Haunting of Bly Manor. That's the Bly Manor horror story. Is like, I bet it's a little expensive.
Man, if you ever see like shows or reality shows or documentaries where it goes to one of these like manors, like 9 times out of 10, it's like people that are like, I can't keep this up at all. Like the place is falling apart because it takes millions of dollars to maintain.
Right.
Because it's like, number one, the heating is ridiculous because it's just cavernous rooms.
All high ceilings.
Yeah. And then...
Not just high ceilings, like, palatially high ceilings.
Yeah, and it's got like period,
woodwork all the way through.
Like the roof, you can't just put like asphalt shingles up there. You gotta like put out like you gotta like get like chiseled
cedar,
like
you gotta get like cedar shingles,
chiseled granite shingles.
Oh yeah, sure.
So like it's very rare that you see one of these palaces like perfectly maintained. I think this is the example, and then maybe Downton Abbey. But even Downton Abbey, they're complaining about how stuff is falling apart and it's really, really expensive.
Right.
So, yeah, it'd be great to live in one of these, but you got to be like a billionaire.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To hire enough people to take care of it.
Yeah. That's that old money.
Yeah, that's old money. So, Peter's really putting the moves on Miss Jessel, but by way of Flora. At the beginning, Peter gives Flora roses, pretty much exactly the same bouquet as Miles gave Danny in the last episode.
Yeah, episode 2, Miles very creepily gave Danny some roses and like floofed her hair and was like, "Hey, baby."
Yeah, so it makes it pretty clear that it's making connections. It's like,
game sees game. Miles got his game from Peter Quint.
Well, I'd go further than that.
It's questionable.
I immediately went to like, oh, well, Miles is getting possessed by Peter.
Yeah.
Like that's
it's hard to know.
Yeah.
It's hard to know.
Because Miles is already talking in episode 2 about like, so what are the rules for possession? Like, you have to give permission because that's not my experience, so it's pretty clear that we're being shown that Peter...
And Miles has an inexplicable addiction to cigarettes.
I think that comes later.
A little later?
It becomes more blatant in later episodes.
Yeah.
But you're shown all these things, and there's phrases that Miles had said up to this point that Peter starts saying. And then on the same note, like Flora also is like saying stuff that it's revealed comes from Miss Jessel.
Right.
It's less clear if she's... possessed maybe versus like just being really influenced by her. But anyways,
because kids pick things up like first of all, they idolize you, right?
Right.
If you're an adult who they think is cool, like they will do everything that you do. Yeah. And so it's kind of a mind fuck a little bit because it's very believable that these kids would just pick up the affectations of the people who they liked a lot.
Yeah. So in a previous episode, I don't think we talked about it, but Miles says kind of a weird phrase when talking to Danny about like, oh, I just needed to see their key or something. Or maybe he says it in the boarding school. There's at some point Miles says in a previous episode, like, I just wanted to see their key.
Yeah, I had to see the key. Like that.
And then in this episode, Peter Quint talks to Miles about keys. So this is a clip from the episode.
Do you know what life is really all about, Miles?
Not flowers.
Keys. See, people are like locked rooms. They've all got different locks, and you've got to guess the shape of their key. Like how there are keys to all the doors in this pointlessly, excessively large house. Different keys for different doors. So if you want someone to open a door, you have to try out different keys until you find the one that works. Like For people like your uncle, his key's money, or flattery. For horses is carrots. And for women, most of them, is flowers.
Flowers. Yeah, it's... I mean, that is barely the English I speak.
Yeah. Should I do the translation? No, they probably get them. So yeah, this is very much from Peter talking about keys and basically the exact way that a sociopath would view people.
Yeah.
Of like, how can I unlock the value of this person by ingratiating myself to them and what they want?
Right.
And he shows...
that's a really good point. This is literally how sociopaths work. They look at people as things to be used, and how do I manipulate them to get that thing? Right.
And so it shows Peter kind of picking away at Miss Jessel. It first starts by trying to sow dissatisfaction in her, like really by talking about classism and like, hey, you don't owe these people anything. Like they're different people. They're different than us. You know?
Yeah, like you had to work so hard to get where you are, and she wants to be what, a baroness or something like that.
Who?
Miss Jessel.
Miss Jessel. Well, not a baronet, a barrister.
A barrister.
She wants to be a lawyer.
Yes, that's right. And this will be good experience because the man who hired her is a lawyer.
Yeah. Can we just talk about, like, yeah, I know that English came from England. Great. But I think
cue the incredibly...
I think America perfected it.
Okay.
Because which is a better name for someone that practices law? Barrister or lawyer?
Lawyer.
They're a lawyer. Yeah.
I don't know, man. We also came up with WAP.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see Britain coming up with wet-ass pussy.
I'd like to see a version of...
They'd probably be like, moist... What would be the ass? Oh,
Tush?
Shoot.
Tushy.
No, what would they call it?
Bum? Keister.
What bum... What do they call the pussy? It's
Fanny.
Fanny, yeah. Moist bum fanny.
WAP.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue.
No. Yeah, I would like to see a version of WAP that's just said a little differently.
Right.
It's wet ass pussy. It's not wet ass pussy. It's wet ass pussy.
I think that's what they call asses in male prisons.
Ass pussy.
Yeah, let me see that ass pussy.
Okay. You ever see it? There's bubbles running down the crack of a man's ass. Think I gotta give me a piece of that.
Standing in the shower. Look at that wet ass pussy.
Episode 3.
All right, episode.
The Haunting of Bly Manor.
We love prison rape over here in America. It's hilarious.
It's
rape.
Okay.
So yeah, Peter's putting on the moves. They do that, the most intimate and like sexy move of just that little pinky touch. Just that little pinky rub.
Little pinky rubs all over the place in this show.
And as I said in the previous episode, that is more intimate than getting like a gagging blowjob.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
And then it like jumps back and forth and it's basically Hannah talking about Miss Jessel. Oh, well, I think she's talking about him back then too. But it kind of puts forth the, what would you call it? The thesis of this episode, which is people mix up love and possession.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought, especially in the context of their relationship, right?
Right.
Because you have Miss Jessel, who is really looking to get ahead, and who it is revealed has a bit of a daddy complex.
Yeah.
It's revealed in episode 4.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's 5. I think it may be 5.
It later kind of explains like why Miss Jessel really like falls for this, because Peter does find her key. Like, he finds, like, this is what she wants to hear, and this is like the thing that will. I tried to muffle it. There's newcomers to horror movie talk, so they're not used to like full on belches into their ear. Yeah, you'll get used to it.
Yeah,
we want to ease you into it. I want to do that little pinky touch. First, you'll hear gurgling, and then once you get into the regular horror movie talk episode,
then the breathy burps, and then full on belches.
We gotta start doing like talking through the belches. I don't think we do that.
I've done it once or twice.
Okay,
it's pro. That's the pro move.
So, like, she falls almost immediately in love with Peter, and just
how could you not?
Yeah, I mean,
you look into those eyes, you just fall in them. You know, you just. And that big, you know, he's got that big chest that you can just kind of cuddle up into. Oh, man. I love a broad-shouldered man.
And Peter, see, the thing is, like, that all being considered, Peter is, like, so transparently a creep.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's very obvious, because he's like...
He can be, you know? Right. He can totally afford to be.
Right.
And it's weird because it's strangely true to life. He's a person we've all met, you know, frat guy,
right.
Tall, dashing.
He's like, you know, when they talk about the top 1%, he's like the 1%er of Tinder.
Oh, there you go.
He's just like, he has the pick of the litter of just like, he's getting all the swipe rights. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's acting weird, like he's doing like just bad ideas, like, hey Miles, here's a keepsake, I got this from my dad, here's a lighter.
Yeah,
like, don't give a 10-year-old boy a lighter. Do you want to die in an arson fire?
Yeah,
because that's how you die in an arson fire.
That is literally how it happens.
To the point where, like, it's so odd that I almost don't believe that was actually Peter's dad's lighter. It's like everything that comes out of Peter's mouth, you kind of don't trust.
It's hard to trust him. He's not a trustworthy source.
Hannah, the housekeeper, keeps stumbling in on them and kind of observing this relationship as it unfolds.
Yeah, she stumbles into a lot of scenes and sees things that she shouldn't.
Right.
Or that, you know, are intimate between Peter and Miss Jessel.
Yeah, and this episode also introduces I think it was the last episode, introduces Hannah seeing that crack.
No. So the first episode, Hannah sees the crack in the first episode, or maybe it's the second episode, and she tells the gardener, the groundskeeper, Jamie, she's like, hey, there's a crack in the tile in the kitchen, like right to the right of the of the fireplace there. Can you?
And every time they check it, it's gone.
Yeah,
like,
there's no crack there.
And this crack just keeps showing up, the same shaped crack, like on the tile and like the wallpaper.
Very distinctive crack.
Yeah. And she's kind of being haunted. She's like almost addicted to this crack.
Okay.
Peter. Oh yeah. So then it shows Flora talking to Miss Jessel about Peter, and she's like, Peter says you're beautiful. He stayed the night here. And like, Miss Jessel is probably thinking in her head, like, yeah, kid, we just fucked. Yeah, I know he was here.
I know he was here.
And he was up all in this moist bum fanny, you know?
Okay.
And
that MBF.
So another scene, Miss Jessel goes to Flora. Oh, no, wait. I'm getting this all mixed up. So then it flashes forward to like the present day, and Danny finds Flora at this, you know, the lake that shall not be spoken of.
Yeah.
And she's kind of like off in the, like, Flora again is looking off into the middle distance, and Danny's like, what are you doing out here? Like, I've been looking for you all over. And Flora's like, oh. And then they turn around and start walking away, and you see Miss Jessel and the reeds in the background.
That's where and she was standing where Flora kept looking past Danny. She was looking past her too. to Miss Jessel. So now we have, we can kind of surmise that the person that Flora is pretty consistently looking at is Miss Jessel, the previous au pair.
Because it makes sense, because she's like, tells Danny it's okay to wear Miss Jessel's hair clip. She's like, yeah.
So the pieces of the puzzle are coming together in regard to Flora and what she's looking at.
Yeah, there's kind of a throwaway line with Miles.
Yeah, I caught on to this one too.
Just saying, telling Danny that Flora lies.
Yeah, Miles is like, Flora lies. But there was a weird punctuation on that in this scene. It was like, Flora lies.
Yeah, lots of... And I don't know what... I can't remember what he says it about. Maybe if I go back and watch it, it would make sense.
Flora said da-da-da-da-da about this and that.
But yeah, lots of sowing discord and distrust throughout this show. We already talked about there's some kind of connection between Peter and Miles and Flora and Miss Jessel. Peter tells... her name is Rebecca Jessel. So he tells Rebecca after the second time they fuck, they wake up in the morning, and Miss Jessel, like, innocuously is like, checks the time, is like, oh, I gotta go. And she like
take care of the kids.
Gets up and he's like, he starts out, he's like, oh no, don't go, like, because she
wakes, lay down a little longer. Let's hang out.
She's like, it starts, the scene starts with like Peter kind of cuddling up and probably like poking her left cheek with his dick. It's like, yeah, and I wake up and he's like, you know, angling for for that moist bum fanny. Are you eating though? Are you eating though? And she gets up and he's like, don't go. And he's kind of frustrated. And she's like,
no, I gotta go. And then he's like, hey, fucking don't go anywhere.
And he like reaches out and grabs her arm like strongly, like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. It escalated very quickly.
Yeah.
It was like, whoa.
It's like, listen, bitch, you ain't going. And
as you do.
Like, it's just the reveal of like full on sociopath. Like, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Did I not make myself clear?
The anger, like, that flares up immediately when he doesn't get something his way.
Yeah. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, it's disturbing. At this point, I asked, like, why would Rebecca fall for this absolute sociopathic creep?
Did you look at him? Yeah, but did you look at him?
Maybe she just didn't understand what he was saying. He's like, don't leave, bitch. But he's saying in an Irish accent, so she just hears it. It's like,
hi-tiddly-doy.
Hi-tiddly-doo.
Hi-tiddly-doy.
It's like, oh, he's so adorable. I gotta go, though. So the thing I notice in this episode, even back in the past with Miss Jessel, those muddy footprints appear.
Yeah.
Because I assumed that the muddy footprints were from Miss Jessel's ghost,
but
coming from the lake.
They're from the lady in the lake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why?
I'm so interested to know what a bink is.
A bint.
Oh, bint?
Yeah, moistened bint.
B-I-N-T?
Yeah.
What is a bint?
Well, I mean, the context, it's
okay.
Some
bitch.
Some bitch.
Okay. I love that quote.
That is probably,
it's overquoted.
Yeah.
By people who you don't want to ruin it.
Yeah.
Necessarily.
Not like us. I mean,
no. not us excluded.
It's obviously not fucked out if we do it.
Right.
Of course. So yeah. And then it goes another scene where Peter is like really manipulating her. And
so
this
throughout this whole episode 3, Peter is constantly going back to the West Wing, the wing that's off limits, and he's just reckless abandon, walking in there, taking stuff, giving it to people, being like,
right,
taking whatever he wants to accomplish. He's basically picking up keys to people. And he's like, here's a lighter for you. This is your key. Here's a fur coat for you, Miss Jessel. This is your key.
Yeah. And so he like gets Miss Jessel to come to the West Wing and reveals like, hey, I got you this fur coat. She's like, this is not yours to give. It's obviously the mother's coat.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, don't worry. Henry said it was okay.
It's been okayed. I've already fast-tracked it. Why don't you take off your clothes and feel this sexy fur against your skin? She's like, well, okay. And to be honest with you, that line would work on me. I'd be like, yeah, I bet that feels great. I want to feel what the fur feels like on my naked skin.
I mean, Peter's just really wanting to see Miss Jessel's
boobs, boobies, tits, titties, tig old biddies, machines.
Aren't we all?
And then Hannah, like,
do you think we'll ever get a boob in this show? You think we'll ever get in a little bit of?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Darn.
Maybe like a ghost boob. Maybe like The Shining, like old lady.
I don't want to be haunted by titties. I'm already pretty haunted.
So Hannah walks in on them right as they're about to fuck.
Yeah, the housekeeper. Yeah, she walks in on him and is like, and they're like, oh God, so sorry.
Yeah, and then they quickly run away. So my question is, I get it that the Uncle Henry does not want to be bothered with any goings-ons of this place, but don't you think that they would call and say, like, did you really give Peter permission to take, like, $2,000 worth of
stuff,
jewelry and furs and stuff? Like, you're just okay with basically doubling the au pair salary for the month?
Well, I mean, they set up the premise pretty well. They have a pretty strong premise for don't call Henry ever, which is Henry is a drunk. And he's not only that,
and he makes it very clear that he does not want to be contacted.
Yeah,
even in the case of, like, if it's actually serious, they take her to the doctor, and then like, why would you need to call me?
Right. So the premise is strong for not calling Henry, but even then, yeah, but still, it's like, wouldn't you call him for this though?
Right.
When it seems like someone's stealing, this seems like, yeah.
I mean, that would be the headline. Just be like, Peter stealing shit.
Yeah, if it were me, like, I'm a tattletale and a loudmouth. But none of the people at Bly Manor seem to be at tattletales or loudmouths. So that might be your answer.
Yeah. And then Hannah, like, straight up threatens Peter. Peter is, like, really holding
Hannah, the housekeeper.
Yeah, holding like his relationship with Henry over Hannah's head, like, hey, I can get you fired in a minute. And Hannah's like,
I'm going to, and she says some strange things.
And she's also like, I don't give a fuck.
But also, I'm tied to this house. She says, I'm going to be here long after you're gone.
Right.
Which is like, what the fuck does that mean? And it's like,
yeah, she has a real surety that she's going to be around long after Peter's gone.
And you don't know what her hand is. You're like, what does that mean? If he can get you fired, how could you?
I think I know what you're alluding to, but we don't know that at this point.
No,
yet.
we don't know that at this point.
But it's
a strange thing to say.
She's very confident that she's more beloved than Peter, which, like, why wouldn't she be?
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
And
she's much more necessary to the day-to-day upkeep of this house.
Right.
Like,
and Peter's just basically saying, like, I can get you fired. And at some point, Hannah's like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Do it.
Fine.
Try me, bro. And it's just not... You just have the feeling this is not going to end well. Peter is not going to take well to being threatened.
Right.
Like, when you threaten a sociopath with taking away their source of power and or money, they will kill you.
Yeah. All of the acting in this show, by the way, is just spectacular.
Right.
I'm really a big fan of, first of all, the cast. Hannah is does such a great job at being like this, like, really conflicted, inner conflict housekeeper, and they all do such a tasteful job of, like, expanding the relationships between all the characters. And you know, Peter's no different, and same thing with Miss Jessel. They're all great characters.
So kind of the end of this episode is like a really innocuous like dinner, and Owen is getting ready to bake a cake, and he's trying to decide what the batter is missing, and has probably one of the best puns of the whole series. Owen's great. You gotta love Owen, especially for the dad jokes.
Yeah, Owen the cook is maybe my favorite character in the show.
So he's like has his cake batter, and he asks like Flora what is missing. She says it needs more strawberry, and Miles says it needs more lemon. And so he goes around the room and is asking people to taste it to give their opinion. And he's been flirting with Hannah for a while now.
Yeah,
and
Hannah the housekeeper.
And he holds the spoon up, and then as she's going in, like just gives a big old dollop of batter on her face, just like, oh, you're a battered woman.
Okay.
And
I missed that.
It's great. And so each gives their opinion, and included in this is Rebecca and Peter.
Wait, is she a battered woman too? No. Okay. Maybe.
But she like tastes it.
No.
And then Peter at the end, like, just because he's a dick, instead of like taking it from the spoon, he dips his finger in the batter, and everyone's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But what difference does that make? They're all like licking off the same spoon. All of a sudden, oh, Peter's finger, like, I don't want that.
Okay, Peter.
I'm fine with everyone's mouth being in the batter, but not Peter's finger. Maybe they're just really suspicious of where Peter's finger's been.
Are you eating though? Are you eating though? Are you eating?
And then at night, wait. And then it gets to another like super creepy part. Is this Miss Jessel or Danny?
Danny.
So it hops forward to present time, and Flora and Miles put on like a little show at the stairway for Danny and the rest of the crew.
I think it's Danny. Boy, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn. It is. Yes.
And
yes, it is.
So Flora's is like a super cute little poetry reading about a cat, and she's adorable. And then Miles is like has a poem about these puppets and this puppet maker, and he's like really adorable. And then it gets really dark. He's like, then he pulls a string, and it hurts.
Yeah,
it's like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the speech basically that he gives is like, look. There's this puppet master, he made some puppets, and then the puppets forgot about their puppet master, and they forgot about their strings, and they just went about their fucking lives, and they did their shit. And then one day...
and then the puppet master tortures him. End of story.
Then one day the puppet master came back, and he's like, hey guys, remember me? And they're like, who are you? And he's like, I hold your strings. And so it's basically, to my eye, it's him saying, look, I'm your fucking boss here. And you may have forgotten that.
Right.
But I can make, like, I hold all your strings, and if I cut them, it's not going to feel good.
Right. So that happens, and then it goes back to Miss Jessel and Peter. Other things happen in the present day, but the important thing is that this episode ends with Peter, like, he said he's going to stay another night, but then suddenly he's packing up to leave.
He's so pissed off.
And he's, like, super pissed off, and it's like, and Rebecca's like, what is going on?
What's the problem? I thought we were having a good time.
And he's like...
Yeah, no.
He's like, oh, no, yeah. So you just sucking some guy's batter anytime he asks you to?
It's good to know that you're just open for business 24/7, 365, bitch.
Yeah, so any old man that comes up to you with cake batter, you're going to let him bukkake cake batter all over your face? Fuck you, bitch, I'm leaving.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's so sudden.
But also...
And it's so innocuous. Like, it's literally like everyone in the room, including Peter, had a taste test of this batter. It's like... So you're saying you also
this is the perfect example of like a controlling, manipulative, like sociopathic boyfriend.
It's gaslighting. It's like, wait, this is obviously a completely innocuous interaction, and you're making me think like I'm a whore for
doing a very normal thing,
right?
Like a very socially acceptable thing,
right?
Like, what's your deal? And he's like, fuck you, this is the worst thing you could have possibly done. Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, it's weird and super jealous. And
ladies, if you're listening to the sound of my voice and you got a man who does this shit to you, you can find better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Just leave.
Yeah, just leave. It's a bad sign.
Doesn't matter if he has an Irish accent. Doesn't matter if he's the most gorgeous man you've ever seen.
No, get yourself a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. He's just going to invent an invisible suit, and he's going to frame you for murder. Like, it's just not worth it.
Right. It's not worth it.
So that's this episode. Really good one. Like, it really fills in a lot of the missing pieces in terms of the background with the previous au pair and this super creepy Peter.
But it ends with... Oh, yeah! It ends with the man in the mirror.
Yeah. Man in the mirror keeps coming up and up.
Yeah.
And, like, it's kind of...
I have a feeling
slow playing it.
I have a feeling we'll learn a little bit more about him in the next episode.
Right.
So with that,
thanks again for listening. Please, if you're new or you haven't, leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts. It really helps with the chart. And subscribe so you hear all the episodes of the Bly Manor After Show and all of our other episodes. If you like the show, please share it with a friend. There's also ways you can support us more directly, like click through the Amazon button at our website, horrormovietalk.com, and we'll get a little taste of anything you spend on Amazon. Check out our Patreon. And special thanks to Dustin Goebel, our resident artist here at Horror Movie Talk. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans, so contact him at dgoebel00 on Instagram. That's at DGOEBEL00. Thanks again to Max for helping us out with the intro music.
That's max.r.allen on Instagram. Check him out.
And thanks to Kitty, our proper British voice to introduce each episode.
And patron member.
And patron. If you want to leave us a voicemail, we probably won't play any of these on these episodes, but we'll talk about them in our other episodes. Call 682-253-4468. Thank you. We love you. Okay, bye.
It ain't beef.